What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to basketball. We're here in the middle of the NBA offseason. It's kind of the dead point of the NBA, and I've been sitting here thinking, as you know, I've prepped for the rest of August. You guys should go watch my August update video if you haven't already. A lot of important information, but I'm like, how do I up engagement in this slow time of the year? And I was like, I know exactly how. You do it by giving people a top 25 list that you created of NBA players and just let the comments go wild. So that's what I've done for you guys today. I went ahead and ranked the top 25 players, in my opinion, under the age of 25 or at the age of 25 in the NBA at this current point in my current evaluation of them. And so I want to just take you guys through that list today and let you guys tell me how I'm wrong. But hey, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and comment. I've responded to every single comment on my YouTube channel up to this point, and I intend to keep on doing so. All right, let's get into it. You know, I was thinking about how to actually go ahead and like present this stuff to you. I'm like, you know, I'm not doing this off like a Bleacher Report article or something like that. I actually took the time and went and thought about it, and I'm like, okay, who should I put where? And I was like, you know what did I used to do in like high school and like middle school and even elementary school? I made a PowerPoint, and so that's what I've done. But the problem is I made it on Canva, and I should have just made it on a PowerPoint, and so now I get to show it to you in preview mode of a PDF. But you know what? That's gonna work just fine because most of you guys are probably eating or like doing the dishes or something while listening to this anyway. I read all my charts and everything. I know what you dudes are up to. So here's the rules, right? Top 25 players, it should be 25 and under, but you know what? That doesn't matter all that much. You guys are free to discuss this as much as you want in any capacity. Obviously, all these guys are great, and at the end, I'll have some honorable mentions of people that like didn't make the list, at least in my opinion, they're honorable mentions. But without further ado, let's start off with number 25, Anthony Simons. There he is. Is Anthony Simons still going to be on this team by the time that I actually post this video? When am I going to post this video? I don't know yet. It's August 2nd as of right now. I'm pre-recording a bunch of stuff as I'm starting to get ready for the kind of preseason or the season preview videos. I'm actually going to start recording those this weekend as I'm just going to be out for a lot of August. But is Anthony Simons still going to be on this team by the time I post this? Because the Trailblazers have made it very clear that they're like, look, we just don't need all these guards in the backcourt, especially as they're trying to develop Scoot Henderson. I 100% agree. They just have this weird conglomerate of guards kind of going on, and that you can get a good haul for Anthony Simons. We're talking about a guy that, like, you let him go, he can get you 24, 25 points a night, shoots the shit out of the basketball, can be a primary ball handler. And I know what you guys are going to say. You're going to be like, his defense isn't that good. His defense isn't that good. Okay, you know what? Nobody on the Trailblazers defense has been like very good. That's what happens when you're on a young team, when you've kind of had coaching that's all over the place and everything, a bunch of stability. Nobody's developing that skill in you. You trade him to like an Orlando Magic or something like that. Please send him to Orlando. He's from Orlando. He's named after Penny Hardaway. Shout out all you Magic fans that let me know that. I didn't know that stuff going into it. Like, you don't think like all those defensive players around him are going to help? Plus, like, here's the thing. Not everybody's good at everything, right? Not everybody's good at everything, but teams like Orlando like need this guy that can be a dynamic like scoring option that can go get his own bucket and can do it from all spaces on the floor and go push the ball in transition. Anthony Simons is a great athlete. I actually think he could become a good defender if you develop him well enough, but you get the shooting, you get the creation and everything. I think he should get a chance to just be like a starting point guard and be his own backcourt and everything. So I've got Simons at 25. Let's move on. Wow, what a pretty presentation I threw together for you guys today. Ooh, secrets down there. Emanuel Quickley comes in at 24, the new starting point guard for the Toronto Raptors. It was an interesting trade that brought OG Anunoby over to New York that sent Quickley and RJ Barrett over to Toronto. And we said, oh wow, these are two guys that we've wanted to see in more of like a, we'll call it an open role kind of system where basically they're just going to be given the chance to prove themselves, right? And Emanuel Quickley took full advantage of that, right? We saw great scoring. We said, okay, yeah, he's the point guard now. Like this is their guy. What's kind of cool about Quickley is he can play with or without the basketball. Like he can go generate his own shot. He can get that step back going from three, but at the same time, he can play off ball when guys like RJ Barrett or Scotty Barnes are going, and he can still be really beneficial, which is awesome because you probably want the ball in Scotty's hands if you want to try to maximize his development as much as possible. So that's why I really like Quickley a lot. You're starting to see a lot of improvements on the defensive end. I don't know where this Toronto Raptors team is coming. I've been trying to ask Raptors fans as I see them in the comments. I'm like, and please comment on this one as well. Just give me like an insight as to how you feel about this team. Because like, is this core of like Quickley, Barrett, and like Scotty Barnes, like, is this kind of what we're trying to make into something? Because I'm not gonna lie, I don't see like an incredibly high ceiling on it. Sorry, Microsoft Teams is messaging me and stuff right now, but I don't know. I don't know how high that this is supposed to go. So I'm willing to ride the wave with y'all if you are. Like, I'm interested in seeing a full season of these guys together, but nonetheless, I'm curious. But no, Emanuel Quickley showed a lot. He got a big contract now. Let's see what a full season with the team can do. Next up on the list, 23, Herb Jones. Maybe a surprising name, but I also feel like you basketball sickos that are still watching these videos at this point of the season will kind of appreciate this one. You'll be like, really, Herb Jones over like Quickley or like Simons and everything? And this is just maybe the coach in me that puts a little bit more emphasis on guys that can just put the ball in the hoop. Because here's one thing that I've learned in my time of coaching. We see so many guys come through like that they can get buckets, right? They can get absolute buckets. But do they really make the team better? And I know that sounds like a broad, like kind of basic statement that you hear people on like SportsCenter saying stuff, but like, you know what I mean? There's so many guys that can come in and just really get you buckets that don't do a whole lot else in the court. Like, they're not necessarily playing the smartest basketball, but you know if you need a bucket, they can go get you those. And there's a lot of those guys. And some of them trickle into the NBA still, and that's like their kind of only thing, Cam Thomas. But then you get guys like Herb Jones that I just feel like they contribute like everywhere on the court and are probably underappreciated. Is Herb Jones the best perimeter defender in the NBA? You could reasonably say that, and I would think about it because I don't think there's an obvious answer, but Herb Jones is one of those guys. He fits within a system. He can space the floor well. He can get out in transition. He just doesn't make many mistakes. He feels kind of like he's developing into like that Derek White type role, or like, who else do I want to say, like a Drew Holiday type player, where it's just, is he ever going to put up the craziest numbers? Maybe not, but he's just kind of always in the right place, right time, and I just value that. Like Derek White and Team USA right now, just always doing the right thing, especially defensively. I think that's extremely valuable, and that's kind of how I see him. Is he going to like reach his full potential with New Orleans? It's hard to say. They've kind of had a weird like developmental like stall out where it's like, okay, these guys got really good pretty quickly, and now they're kind of like, okay, where are we going? So I'm curious to see, but I really, really like Herb Jones. I feel like anybody would want Herb Jones on their basketball team. Who doesn't want like the 6'7", like a 3-and-D wing at this point that just does everything he's supposed to well? I don't know, but I really, really like Herb Jones. Next up, we have Tyler Herro coming in at 22. Tyler Herro, it seems like a lot of Heat fans are kind of like sick of his bullshit is kind of how I would put it. And if you're a Heat fan and that's not the case, sound off for me, man, because I'm seeing a lot of Heat fans say the opposite. I should have used a better picture for this one. It's a little bit blurry, but that's just me complaining about things. We've just seen Tyler Herro do too much in the NBA to not put him at least this high. Like, he's been like a great scorer ever since he got into the league. He's working on those ball handling skills and becoming more of a guard, like lead guard option. It still isn't really going well, but here's the thing. At the end of the day, like, is Tyler Herro like an atrocious defender? No, not by any means. He's a pretty good team defender all the day. He shoots the shit out of the basketball. He can create his own shot in a lot of ways. And just what he does at his age, given like his skill and athleticism, like I think it's incredibly impressive. And to do it on a team where they are just more demanding of you, there's constant change and rotations and stuff like that. I really, really like Herro for that reason. Is he a perfect player? No, not by any means of the word. And I mean, being injured so often is going to be something that I know I've seen like Pat Riley even say like, hey, like, we just got to get his ass back on the court and stuff like that. He's got to get in better shape. He's got to get better at certain things, right? Because we are seeing a bit of a stall in his development. But the point is, he got this good this quickly. He's always going to be like a 6th man of the year type guy. If he's coming off the bench for people, I presume he's going to be starting, at least for the Heat at the moment, thinking through their roster. Yeah, I don't see why not. But no, like, some of the things that he can do on the court already in such a young point in his career is really impressive. How much better is he going to get? I don't know, but where he's at right now is pretty good. Next up, Keegan Murray at 23 years old. I love Keegan Murray so much. And he is, if you guys are watching like my breakout videos or whatever, we talking about Keegan Murray in that one because I see so much skill in him. First of all, the shooting, right? He can shoot catch and shoot. He can shoot like off the dribble or like moving, coming off screens. Like that's all awesome. We knew he could do that and everything. What we saw last season is we took a not-so-great defender in his first season. This next season, all of a sudden, he's guarding better players on the court and having some pretty solid success on it. And you're like, ooh, interesting. 23-year-old guy. He's already kind of doing this stuff, huh? Okay, cool. And then towards the end of the season, magically in Sacramento, all of a sudden he's handling the ball a little bit more. And you're seeing him, like, especially in the playoffs, like doing it extremely well. And that's what got me so excited, was seeing some of that postseason action where you're seeing him like catch the ball in the corner, rip and like hesitate to kind of read the court and then like go back and attack, get the exact shot that he needs or make the next pass, re-space, go and get his shot still, knowing the ball is going to come back to him. And you're like, okay, the game's slowing down for him. He's starting to get it and he can contribute on the court in multiple ways now. With DeMar DeRozan joining the team, you're like, okay, you know, he's got to have the ball. He is a good facilitator and everything. You know, Fox has got to have it. Sabonis is the hub on the team and their great offense. So it's like, is he going to get to keep developing that skill? I don't know, but I do think Keegan Murray's skill set, it puts him at a place to really explode this season. But even right now, I think he's a really high-level contributor. I think he does a lot of things well. Like, he doesn't necessarily have like a weak point on the court, and that's really valuable at the four, is having guys that can kind of move like that and can keep moving the offense and stuff. I think it's a really valuable trait to have. I know there were talks of him being traded at points during the season. I was like, I would not trade Keegan Murray. I'd rather just try to develop him into the third guy between De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis. But that's just me. So I'm really a big fan of Keegan Murray for those reasons. All right, we got 20, Franz Wagner. This is a much better picture. This is much cleaner. Great job, AVC. Franz Wagner got paid too much money this offseason, right? Right? That's probably fair. That's probably fair. Now, we talked about it in the video, though. There's an understanding that, like, there's new ways the cap works and everything, and you have to prioritize your own players. Orlando's probably not going to be in the lottery again anytime soon. Franz Wagner's already a good player, and he continues to improve in a lot of facets, and that's awesome. He's got a high character and everything, and no free agents are coming to Orlando anyway. So you pay your guys and you move on. The combination of Paolo and Franz is complicated. That's a tough way to start trying to build an NBA offense. Like, if I'm building something from scratch as a coach, those probably aren't the two guys that I'd put next to each other. Like, Paolo himself, from where he's currently at, is a little bit complicated. Throw Franz into that, and basically I'm saying, like, neither of them are great shot creators, and neither of them are great floor spacers. So you're like, okay, kind of, what do I do with this? Now, that's why I want to put Anthony Simons on the team so bad. I think that'd be really valuable to them. But what can Franz Wagner already do? He can already pick up and guard people at any points in the court. He brings a lot of energy, brings a ton of toughness, gets to the hoop and finishes well. He brings a lot of size to the team. If he learns how to shoot, all of a sudden we got something rolling, right? Has he even really grazed like all-star potential yet? Probably not. But you're getting a ton of value out of a guy that is only 22 years old. He's playing with his brother. They tend to play well together. It's just a weird conglomerate of other things on there, but he fits well into this defensive scheme that they got going on. So I just hope that they continue to surround him with like players that can help him develop. I hope he develops that jump shot and maybe even more creative moves so he can be more of a shot creator, because as of right now, it's just not quite there yet. But love Franz Wagner. Really excited to see him continue to grow. Next one here, Jaylen Green at 19. Your boy picked another blurry picture. Damn it. This is what I get for doing this at like midnight last night of throwing this together. Jaylen Green. Not one of my favorite players to watch at points. I've made that very clear, and that's because I feel like he's one of those players that's come into the NBA, American-bred players that kind of just come up through the AAU system. They're not necessarily practicing basketball a ton, but they're extremely athletic, more athletic than anybody we've ever really seen before, and they can just kind of dominate the AAU system, but they don't learn the game, and I don't know, that just bothers me as somebody that's kind of an appreciator of that stuff and a coach, right? I mean, so I value the little things like that. Is Jaylen Green extremely talented? Not even a damn question. But what we saw last season, right? Before you guys get in the comments like, Jaylen Green did all this. Yep. He started to show it a little bit more last year that he was learning, which, you know, it was going to take time. There was no question about that. Or it was more so, was it going to happen? But we think about Jaylen Green and some of the development we saw, kind of like Keegan Murray. the game started to slow down a little bit more for him. He's not just like chucking shots and running at the rim all willy-nilly. All of a sudden he's kind of dissecting and then getting into like a step back or something like that, or he's attacking the rim and using some of his great athleticism and finishing skills to go get there. More of the shots start falling, right? Houston starts to be a little bit more competitive at points too because of that. That's awesome. He obviously had that crazy streak of offensive output and everything. Is he going to be able to maintain that? We don't know. They're building a good team around them, that's for sure. There's a lot of young guys that they're still trying to develop, and that worries me a little bit. But, man, they've got some good vets on that team too. So I'm excited about Jaylen Green's development. Hope it can keep going. Who do we got next? RJ Barrett, another Toronto Raptor. We already kind of talked about these guys a little bit when it came to Quickley and him. All of a sudden, we saw a guy that got a lot more confident, like behind the arc, even if like the percentages didn't go up crazy, I want to say. I don't think it was anything nuts, but all of a sudden you saw him be a little bit more comfortable and get into the hoop and stuff, and you saw a little bit more consistency. You definitely just saw a better RJ Barrett when he got to Toronto. Maybe it's just the Canada air that makes him feel better, makes him feel more at home, but all of a sudden he became a much more dynamic player. You obviously get a really good defender out of him. You get a real big, strong body that can finish through just about anybody on the court. That's awesome. Is the jump shot going to continue to be there? Because if he's going to play next to Scotty Barnes, it has to be, right? We know Quickley's probably going to be good in that department. Who's going to be the two for them is a question. I know we all hope that it's going to be Grady Dick in some capacity. I still think it's probably going to take a little bit more time than that, so I'm not exactly sure where they go with that. Just thinking off the top of my head, I have to think that through more. But RJ Barrett, a nice young wing player. How much better is he going to get? We don't necessarily know, but I mean, if he's upwards of 20 to 22 points a game or something this year, great, right? Like, I think that'd be a phenomenal season for him. I think he'd really be proving himself in that manner. Can he continue to improve on, like, the distribution skills and, like, continue to be more of an off-ball player at points that him and Scotty are playing off each other? Because that'd be a really hard combo to guard if you got Scotty being a ball handler, Quickley's spacing, you got RJ cutting and stuff. It's like, all right, you got a lot of real dynamic, kind of multifaceted players that can fit in a lot of spaces. Kind of interesting. Again, where's Toronto going? I don't know, but I like it. Next up, Evan Mobley at 17. Counting stats aren't going to tell the story of Evan Mobley, obviously. I'm going to scroll this up a little bit so you can see Evan Mobley's beautiful forehead as much as you can with this one. I think we all want to see Mobley on a team where other people aren't taking up all the shots, and we want to see that offensive side of the game grow. We've all heard about the Cleveland players being like, we want him to shoot more, we want him to do this. Like, we know he can put the ball on the floor a little bit. He's dynamic around the rim. We've all seen that. We see the length, and the defensive skill is no question, right? How does he play next to Jared Allen? How do they continue to find ways to make him work at the four? How can they make him more dynamic on offense? It's hard when you have two very ball-dominant players in Garland and Mitchell. One of them's on the court at all times. So where does he get those chances to kind of be more of a hub or something like that? Hard to say, especially because they like to post Jared Allen up a good amount too, and Jared Allen's pretty good at it. So it's like, okay, fair enough, right? Jared Allen's a borderline all-star player in some seasons. So it's tough for that reason, but Evan Mobley he does so many things so well. He's such a smart player already, 23 years old only. The defense is what stands out the most, right? And it's, can we find more offense out of him? But I just love to see him get more opportunities somehow. I don't know how it's going to happen, but it'd be cool to see nonetheless. Another big man, someone that's had a little bit more offensive success right away, Chet Holmgren. I am on team. I didn't think Chet Holmgren was going to be that good, and if he was, it wasn't going to be this quickly. So that's on me. That is totally on me. I wasn't on YouTube saying those things at that point, but I was doing NBA scout things, and a lot of scouts still make fun of me for that. But you know what? I told them G.G. Jackson was going to be good, and nobody gives me any credit for it. So I've told that story a bit too much on the channel probably at this point. But Chet Holmgren has already shown the ability to put the ball on the floor a little bit. He can beat fives off the dribble. I'm a little bit concerned that they're going to try to put him at the four this year, and that's going to take away some of the value that he has in being able to beat fives. The rim protection is elite. The shooting was phenomenal this season. Can he keep up that shooting? Because it was really good last season. Like, he was stroking that thing from out there. So where do we go next with Chet Holmgren? Continue to get stronger, become a better rebounder. That's clear, but already like extremely dynamic on this young team and extremely important. The Thunder are always going to be better with him on the court. Obviously, Hartenstein comes in, helps him with the rebounding in a large way, just because he's such a large person. But how are we going to get Chet better at like rebounding? Is it more of a skill that he has to develop in tracking the ball or something? Because we know he's never going to be able to bang with the big guys down low. hard to say. You might not want him down there either just because of injuries or something like that. But the outside shooting is going to be critical at all times. The shot blocking is already awesome. At just 22 years old, dude's doing a lot for you. So this is always kind of fun for me because I don't remember who I put next. It's another Thunder player. Ooh, J-Dub. I love Jaylen Williams. I absolutely love Jaylen Williams. I've made a prediction that I think he'll be in all-star talks this year. I think like it won't be crazy to say by at some point this year that Jaylen Williams should be an all-star. I think he's got all the makings of it. He's got the attitude, like he's got the dog in him. Talking skill-wise, like the shot has come along. Obviously, he can handle the rock a little bit. There's not many guys better than him in transition. The defense is there. He's physically gifted in a lot of ways. Big, strong, can do so many different things. Like OKC just knows how to pick him. I didn't see much out of him in college, and they just figure it out, don't they, OKC? So shout out Jaylen Williams. I think he's incredible already in a lot of facets. Like, where can he get better? Just continuing to add more and more moves to his arsenal so that he can be more of a dynamic player. It's going to be hard with guys like Shea in the game at points when he's going to be very ball dominant. Cason Wallace hasn't shown that he's necessarily going to do that yet, so you would presume that Williams could be kind of that secondary guy, even though they move the ball around quite a bit in OKC, so everybody's got to be able to do it a little bit. But is he going to be able to kind of be like a lead guy with Shea on the bench or something like that? Or maybe Chet's also on the bench, and can he just go out there and kind of carry things for you in some capacity? I don't know, but I like the odds of his development. I think he's got the right attitude for it. I'm really excited about Jaylen Williams. Cade Cunningham. All right, people, I know we're not watching a lot of Pistons basketball, and this is one that you're going to have to wrap your hands or heads just around a little bit tighter than some of the other ones. Cade Cunningham's probably better than some of the people you're going to see at the further up this list, and I'm sure some of you are even surprised he's this high. I bet you that it's a pretty wide spectrum. Some of you are going to say, Cade Cunningham's ass because the Pistons are ass. Are you dumb? that's just what I'm going to tell you with that one. Like, the Pistons organization is such a disaster. Like, nobody was going to fix that, man. Like, the roster that he's got around him is just complete nonsense. Like, all the situation around these guys is nonsense. You just watch Cade Cunningham play basketball, though. Dude gets it. There's a reason he was the #1 pick. There's a reason people are like, this 6'7", 6'8" dude. He's a point guard. He can see all this stuff. He can be this guy for you. He's big, strong, plays defense, sees the court well, should be a good shooter. He's damn athletic enough. Obviously, the injury set him back and slowed him down a little bit, but I cannot wait to see him with more floor spacers and some more veterans on the team like they have this year. Thank you, Pistons organization, for doing that and getting him some decent vets and wing players around him. Awesome. I'm still upset about the Ron Holland thing. That's so baffling to me. How many of these guys do you want on your team that you have to develop from ground zero? I don't understand. But regardless, how is he going to play next to the likes of Asar Thompson or something like that, who they really should prioritize developing because he's a stud? Like, Jalen Duren's part of that young core. Jaden Ivey has a lot going on. So how do they play off of each other? It's a big question for them. But Cade Cunningham himself, man, he can do a lot, man. There's not much he can't do. And honestly, if you talk to a lot of NBA players, I know you guys aren't talking to him, but if you hear other guys talk about him, they're like, dude, Cade Cunningham's so tough. He's just stuck in Detroit. That's just how it is, man. So I could justify putting him higher. I certainly couldn't put him lower than this, but I didn't want the comments to be too mad at me if I put him much higher. So that's why he's there. Let's talk about AP, Alperen Şengün. I love Şengün's game because when I watch him, he's the most deceptively athletic person I feel like I've seen in the NBA ever. He's got some of the wildest posters in the NBA, but he has you guys might not know this from certain athletic backgrounds or something, but there's something called dorsiflexion. It's a certain way you move your legs and stuff to kind of explode or be explosive. He has none of that, but all of a sudden then he'll just take off and just pound it on someone. It's mind-boggling for me to watch in a lot of ways. But the footwork, the strength and the energy, he's starting to get a little bit of that outside shot and everything, but he's probably already the best player on the Rockets. I don't think that's hard for us to really say at all at this point. I think it's probably pretty evident that he's the best guy in the Rockets. He can do it from multiple spaces on the court. He can kind of do that baby Jokic thing of being a playmaker from down there. He's a good enough defender, especially just because physically guys can't move him very easily, which is really nice. But I love his game. I can't wait to see how it continues to grow and develop. They got Steven Adams on the team, which I think is going to be a great mentor figure for him and continuing to grow and see the game and be smarter. That's what good GMs do. They're We got this young guy. He's starting to show some stuff. He's 22 years old. Let's go get a vet like that. That's just going to like push him in practice every day and teach him all the little things and just be a good like presence for him. That's what smart GMs do. Shout out the Houston Rockets for doing that, man. I'm really excited to see. Next up, we got Darius Garland. That's a clean picture. Now, why didn't I get more clean pictures like that? I got to stop admiring my work like this. But Darius Garland. Not much that this guy can't do already. Like, he's going to be one of those borderline all-star players most seasons. Had some injury problems last year, but is there somebody shiftier than him in the NBA? Like, in all honesty, like Kyrie, right? Shea, but like Garland's in that conversation, right? Like, his ability to create space for himself is damn near unmatched with like his quickness and everything, and his ball handling skills, his shooting ability. He can get a shot up from just about any position that he's in. Obviously the playmaking's pretty solid. The defense is a little bit questionable, especially when you have a Donovan Mitchell next to you, who I'm not saying like either of them are necessarily bad defenders. They're just small, and at a certain point physics wins in a lot of aspects. But man, Darius Garland is so good at so many things, and I'm actually surprised because I didn't see this development coming out of him in college. Like, I liked a lot of his like offensive game. Wasn't sure it was completely going to translate. They've obviously done a decent job of putting some other talent around him, so that's awesome. But can we get Darius Garland to like all-star every year type things? I don't know. Like I said, there's like so many other guys that they're kind of trying to still figure out how it all fits together in Cleveland. Nobody's quite been able to make this team mesh perfectly. So hard to say, but nonetheless, Darius Garland, man, like just love his game. He's just fun to watch, if nothing else. Number 11, Paolo Banchero. Wow. 21 years old, number 11 on this list. Paolo Banchero does a lot of things very well. Defensively, already very gifted, right? He's already starting to take on some leadership role with the Magic. That's awesome. They had a young team, somebody had to do it, right? Outside of Mo Wagner. But you started to see a little bit of shot creation, right? It's very basic right now, but you started to see it. Second season, totally understood. Him getting to the rim, hard to be stopped. He's big, he's strong, he's wide, like really, really difficult. He's got good enough footwork to make it happen, too. Can he become, like, an elite shot creator? I don't know. With his frame and kind of athletic skill set, I hesitate to kind of say so. He really does kind of have that Carmelo Anthony game to him, where it's a little bit more like, I'm going to bump you, I'm going to kind of, like, tear you down, like, part by part, and then get my shot up somehow. That feels more so like where he's going to go, which is why I'm a little concerned. Him next to Franz, who also doesn't necessarily play in the traditional shot creator type role. That's why I'd like to see a point guard that kind of takes the ball out of both their hands just a little bit to kind of help them, but it's hard, right? It's hard to get good players. If it was that simple, everybody would do it, right? But Banchero himself already does so many things so well at such a young age. He's going to be a stud in this league. He's probably going to be an all-star before we know it, and I'm just a really big fan of his game. I'm curious to see how Orlando builds on this last season, and man, I'm excited. He's just such a unique like build and frame for the league. I'm really, really excited about him. Crossing into the top 10 now, LaMelo Ball, still only 22 years old, but it feels like, doesn't he feel like he's older? And I feel like that's just because he's been in the picture for so long, just in like basketball talk and space. Now, some of you might be saying like, wow, LaMelo Ball at 10? Like, he's literally been like an all-star already and everything. Yes, I think there's still a lot of areas of his game he needs to grow. Like sometimes the turnovers are still a bit egregious. Still hasn't really been able to take like a true leadership role with the team, and a lot of that is the Hornets organization in itself. But let's say some good things about him, right? Because there's plenty to talk about. Some of the best vision in the NBA, some of the best defensive instincts in the NBA, even if the defense itself doesn't always like show up, the defensive instincts are crazy. Just his sense for basketball is nuts. His shot creating is unique in the sense that like he takes shots that other people just won't even take, and he's absolute money with them. His finishing ability is good. He makes his teammates better in a lot of ways. It's just injuries, right? It's just injuries. And is he going to be able to be like a takeover, like leadership type guy? Don't necessarily know. Is he going to turn into a lockdown defender like his brother? I don't know. Hard to say. I don't know. Like, there's still some pieces missing to his game, but there's so much great about it already. It's just we want to see him stay healthy and start to really build on those things. If we could see a healthy season out of him, he probably shoots up this list pretty quickly, and we all feel a lot better about him because he probably continues to grow, right? Moving on to number 9, Ja Morant. Same thing as LaMelo, right? Elite basketball player. This is a very, very good basketball player. But he's got some deficiencies, right? Defensively, not always the greatest, not always the best shot maker. I know, crazy to say, elite finisher around the rim and everything. The three-point shot hasn't quite come around just yet, battling some injuries, right? Battling some off-the-court stuff. All that's great. Dude's a dog, though. That's the kind of guy that can be a leader. He's got to be a leader actually on the court, though. But, like, he's the type of energy to be a number one option, to be a number one guy, right? That you're like, yep, I can follow this guy into battle. He can do all this stuff. You'd probably like to see maybe his playmaking get a little bit better as well. Obviously, he didn't play like the highest level like college basketball by any means, but we want to see that development of kind of the more intangible side of basketball because, man, like athletically, he can do just about everything. And like making more and more shots is just going to come with time. But man, he does so many things well already that he like besides just Instagram highlights, right? More than anything else. But I'm just excited to see him back in the court this season. Scotty Barnes, another Raptor, makes the list. Interesting. Scotty Barnes is in that category too, where he does a lot of things well, the outside shooting coming along. This is going to be his first full season where he gets to drive the ship. So I think we're all just kind of presuming that, you know, kind of a late, like all-star type player last year after all the other guys, as in Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby kind of got out of the way. You're like, okay, now we got Point Scotty a little bit more. How's that going to work? Like we've seen some of the playmaking skills already. We've seen some of the ball handling already. Like I said, the outside shot isn't quite there yet, but he's a good defender. The Raptors have a really interesting team kind of put around him. He's got competence at least around him in most positions. So I'm excited to see where he can go this year. Is this a year where he becomes a pretty clear all-star again? I don't know, but he does a lot of things well right now, and I'd like to think that full off season with this team and everything, they could go in an interesting direction. So big fan of him there. Jaren Jackson Jr. at 7, above Ja Morant. Relax. All right, I'm looking at you. Relax. All right. Here's the thing. Jaren Jackson Jr. has been in a couple different places in his career. Came in, lockdown defender type guy, crazy good shooter and everything so early on. The defense kind of has had like a little hiccup where there's been like a lot of fouls, and that's been a little bit of a concern. We'll say the Memphis situation has not been great recently. Obviously, Ja coming in and out. There's been injuries, and there's been some injuries is probably a light way of putting it for them last year. But you see some of the things that Jaren Jackson Jr. can do and some of the moments for my Grizzlies fans that were still watching that team last year. Like, you saw how dominant Jaren Jackson Jr. can really be on a basketball court, just like physically. Like, the game has, like, you can tell he understands the game at this point. Like, he can go get you a bucket at really any time from all three levels on the court. He can handle the rock to some capacity. He can be a lockdown shooter. He can take you to the rim. He can go dunk on you. He's got the attitude to go do so. And I like to think that this kind of defensive hiccup is more so just kind of like a situational hiccup more than anything else. Do I think Ja Morant could pass him on this list? Almost certainly. But for the time being, I probably feel a little bit better about Jaren Jackson Jr. And that's just me. You guys debate it. All right, next up, Trey Young up here at 6. Do I really need to explain Trey Young all that much to you guys? Defense got better last season. Still wasn't great or maybe even good. Got better. It was better. Like, we saw him kind of switching and everything and stepping up and guarding people, trying to be physical, getting kind of their dribble space, get a hand on people. Awesome, right? We saw some of those little things start to improve. Offensively, like, what can't the dude do, right? Besides maybe play off ball. And that's obviously where a lot of the concern comes in. Is I've been saying from the time he got into the NBA is I'm like, okay, how are we going to make a Steph Curry out of him where we can use his gravity in more ways to create opportunities for other people, right? And when is he going to commit to that? I mean, he's had the ball in his hands the entire life where he's been quadruple teamed in high school. We've all seen the clips and everything. So he's not used to giving up the basketball, and he's pretty damn good with it. So why would you necessarily take it away from him? He's got the attitude to be that dude. The problem is that the Hawks just haven't quite put it together, and we don't have a great answer as to why that is. Like, they've got what I deem to be a pretty good coach. They had a pretty good team out there. Like, are there a lot of other studs out there? No, but they have a very competent basketball team and an elite shot creator, and they had like a DeJounte Murray. So you're kind of left being like, okay, so what's kind of going on? I think it is those couple of missing things, like being able to have him be a solid defender or being able to play without the basketball. Him and DeJounte did not click at all, but nonetheless, Trey Young is an incredible basketball player. I don't want those negatives to overshadow all the great things that he does. I love Trey Young. Do I think that he's winning like a championship or anything like that as a first option? At 25 years old, we're starting to kind of get a picture of that. Maybe not. Do I think that Trey Young's phenomenal still? Yes, I do. Let's get into the top 5. Top 5, Tyrese Haliburton an Olympian as well, even if some people disagree that he probably should be. You know, there's probably a debatable thing there, but Tyrese Haliburton already does so much. The assists, crazy, right? The pace that he can play with his team, crazy. Some of the shot making, crazy. Can he be a takeover guy is the biggest question. That's something that we really struggle to see out of him in the playoffs. Like, okay, your team needed a bucket. You don't have a lot of other like shot creators on this team. You have whatever Pascal Siakam is, which he's just kind of more of a bucket getter. I don't know if I even call him a shot creator. Like, he just gets buckets, like in and around the hoop, and that's awesome. But Tyrese Haliburton still got some room to grow and everything, but man, he does so much well already. Not many people see the floor better than him. Not many people set the team up and set the pace and set like a leadership example better than he does. Obviously, the shooting's really incredible, even if it doesn't look it. But no, Tyrese Haliburton does so much well. I'm hoping this Team USA experience is going to be good for him, and he's going to come back even better. Benedict Matherin's going to be coming back, and hopefully that helps bolster the team a little bit. We're going to see how the rest of these kind of young guys start to develop. I am really sad that they took Buddy Hield away from him, because I feel like that slowed the team down and was a really useful asset for Haliburton in a lot of ways. But nonetheless, excited to see where Haliburton goes with things. Number 4, Zion Williamson. I don't need to talk about the negatives with Zion Williamson. You guys all know these already. What does he do well? At the end of the day, if he is healthy, he is absolutely unstoppable. There is nothing you can do to stop this guy. His handle is too good. His passing is too good. His finishing is too elite. He doesn't need to bend his knees to jump, it seems like. He can go up and grab a rebound. He can go straight back up without having to gather himself and go dunk it on you. And if he misses it, there was a crazy statistic at one point that like he was shooting like 60% from the field or something like that. And they were like, yeah, so obviously he's 60% likely to, or it was something like he's 50% likely to hit his first shot, and he's like 70% likely to get the offensive rebound if he misses within like a certain range, and then he's like 80% likely to put in the next shot or something like that. Something completely stupid like that, right? And so that's just how dominant he is. There's nobody that can stop him, like physically. There just isn't somebody strong enough to stop him, especially because New Orleans knows how to get his momentum going towards the rim. He can create his own shot and get there. You can't sag off him, because then he just gets ahead of steam, and he's quick enough somehow to still get around you. I have way too much experience with it in real life, honestly. It's really difficult. But he's so incredibly physically impressive, and he knows the game incredibly well. It's a shame that he got hurt and we didn't get to see like a true playoff Zion, but for the little bit that we saw, we're like, wow, if this guy wants to, there's nothing the league can do to stop him. So shout out Zion Williamson there at 4. Number 3, there he is. I knew you guys were waiting for him. Victor Wembanyama. Couldn't put him any higher on the list right now. Do I think he'll probably be higher a lot or pretty soon? Yeah, almost certainly. Certainly the youngest guy by far to be this high up on the list at just 20 years old. Y'all watched Victor this year. You get it, right? Just about everything. Some of the small things that you're still noticing. Still dribbles into crowds a bit too much. There's times where he's going back into the defense where he probably should just like, hey, hold the ball for a second, let people reset, go at him. He's not playing with a ton of other like developed talent yet or anything, so it's going to take some time, but the Spurs did a lot of smart things this offseason of going and getting Chris Paul, Harrison Barnes, just getting more guys like that, right? Even if they're not going to help you win like 50 games, it's like those are the little things of him just being around good basketball more and more and more. He's going to be a stud in the league for a long time, so why not start seeing it now? But yeah, no, Victor Wembanyama, absolutely elite. I don't need to tell you any more about that. Tyrese Maxey. I love Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey does everything well. He does everything well. I don't have a complaint about Tyrese Maxey. He does everything that he's asked to do in many different roles. I like genuinely, what's a complaint somebody has about Tyrese Maxey? I'm open to hearing it. Like I mean that so much, but like, what more do you want from him? Like, he's already getting you like 25-ish if you need him to, right? He can already shoot and create shots for himself. He can set other people up. He can be a primary ball handler. He can be a pesky defender. Like, he gets out in transition, nobody can stop him, right? It's awesome. How does he play off of Embiid? That's always going to be a question. Embiid seems like just a hard guy to put people around for a lot of reason. It's hard because his limited mobility is going to consistently be an issue. But Maxey himself, man, he's tough, man, and I think he's only going to get better. We're starting to see him fill into his body a little bit more, which is what you start to see out of the 22, 23-year-olds, right, and into 24 and stuff. Like, there's just a lot of physical change that happens in those years. So as he continues to bulk up and everything, I'm excited. I'm really, really excited about Tyrese Maxiell. And then finally, yeah, I mean, maybe some of you guys forgot that he falls into this category, but 25 years old, Luka Donic, second best player in basketball, most likely, in my opinion. Yeah, I'm going to have another ranking video like this coming out, and I've already made the list, and I'm sneak peek, I put him at 2. So it's Luka Donic, man. What else do you want from me? He does everything well, except manage his temper at times. If he manages his temper, we've even seen it now this year. Dude can play lockdown defense if you really need him to. It's there. It's just all up here, man. If you just stay like this level of mad, you just got to stay this level of mad. The stank face is good. As soon as you start talking to the ref too much, hopefully he's not making that face at a ref. Anything else? We're good. We're golden. We know he can get to the finals now, right? We know he can be that guy on that team that can like step up and play good defense and be the shot creator and just carry a whole team that far. Awesome, right? Awesome. Can we mature now, right? Because we're 25. You're not going to be eligible for AVCs 25 under 25 next year. You've got to be entering your prime right about now. And prime means that you're like locked in and focused and being mature, right? I don't need to explain any more than that. Luka Donic is awesome. But hey, you guys let me know what you think down below. Here's my lists and everything. You guys are free to have complaints about this. Obviously, I want to hear it. Just make sure you guys do it respectfully, because like I want to have conversations about this stuff. I want to learn. We're trying to be better than the rest of the internet and not being like, this shit's trash or whatever. Like that does nothing for me. You shouldn't be allowed to speak on the internet. I don't know. You have nothing interesting to say. But hey, be on the lookout this week. Oop, almost forgot something, y'all. Almost forgot to show you guys my honorable mention people. We got Brandon Miller here, Devin Vassell, Kobe White, Trey Murphy, Lou Dort, Nick Claxton. Those are the other guys that I thought about putting on this list. Okay, now back to the closing part of the video. Videos are going to be what they are, and then after that, I'm just out for a little bit, so I'm going to be pre-recording some stuff. My season preview videos are already going to be coming out. I'm really, really excited about that series. It's going to take a long time to get through them all, but hopefully it's good content for you guys, so be on the lookout for those. But hey, appreciate it as always for watching, and we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.